Okay. The Goyim have gone insane. The Goyim have lost their fucking minds. But anyways, so I saw this Lindsay Clancy case, and I'm just gonna like start off. This part's gonna be kind of dark, but basically, Lindsay Clancy, I think she had all her kids were under 5. The oldest was 5. The other two were under that. But she basically brutally murdered her kids in 2023, and her case, I think, is pretty much ending now. And there's a primarily ridiculously large amount of TikTok scientists and TikTok geniuses trying to basically cope and explain why she is not guilty for what she did, or even attempting to blame her husband for basically being at fault for it. So I'll kind of say, like, generally of the story, what I've heard, which is that apparently she took a bunch of medicines, blah, 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 whatever. And then later on, her husband, he left, I think it was for 6 months or 3 months or whatever, to help take care of her. He had a lot of things to help her and her situation. But then eventually, he went to CVS. She took exercise bands, and then she strangled all 3 of her kids. And that's the general story. But before I say any more, I'm just going to go back to the exercise bands, which is out of all the ways to kill someone, if somebody kills someone like running them over or with a gun, hell, or even blowing them up, I would call it like far less. Because like when you're strangling someone, you have to suffocate them. That's number one. But also, you're directly looking at the person. And since her kids are young, I can't say exactly how much time it would take to, like, make each of them suffocate with exercise bands. But think about this, which was, well, unless you don't want to, then you can just skip the video. But anyways, think about this, which was her kids' hands were flailing around. Her kids were crying, not knowing what happened, probably saying, "Mommy, mommy," and all that shit while she was strangling them. Because the 5-year-old's obviously old enough to like talk and say some stuff, obviously. The other two, I think they were still really too young to say anything above, like, dada, mama. But then she strangled and brutally murdered her own child. And that was probably maybe 3, 4, 5, however many minutes of her looking in her child's face as the kid was suffocating, freaking out, and then eventually died. And then she did that same exact thing to her other 2 kids. So this is a mentally deranged, like, psychotic mother that not only should have never been around her kids, but I'm going to say she should be publicly hanged, executed, and that's it. The world is a far better place without her being a shit stain on it, basically. But I've seen so many women, a huge mass amount of women, predominantly, like I'd say around 40s or so, some like a little older, but around those ages, who are basically trying to justify why her killing all her kids is actually like a good thing, or attempting to blame her husband and saying that he killed the kids with obviously zero evidence. Because from what I checked from the case, her lawyers said that she did it. She said that she did it. The prosecution said that she did it. So the likelihood is she's either going to spend her entire life in a psychedelic hospital forever and not be let out, or the other one, which is she's going to be rotting in jail for the rest of her pathetic existence. Which for me, like, for me, I'm the type of person that I would rather just have her hanged and that's it, get rid of her, not even have a slight chance of somebody in the future trying to get her out or trying to get her reevaluated and put back into regular society. Like, basically zero chances. But that's what happened. And so I'm going to watch a couple things related to it, but man, it was just fucked up. And the majority of these women, this is at least my thought, which is 1/3 of my personal entire generation is actually fucking dead because of abortion and all that stuff. And I'm thinking that a lot of these women are trying to justify her killing their child because of that. That's number one. But also because they're just psychopaths, they're attention seekers, and they're willing to make they're willing to use any amount of bad behavior that's been pretty much allowed in society by, the negative downsides of usually what women have, which is usually erratic, extremely emotional decision making, bad behavior, crying, like, all that stuff that's a lot more tolerated by society rather than usually men's negative attributes, which would be like, violence, fighting, all that stuff. But because there's such a predominant amount of it that's been allowed for such a long time, you see it online, and it's not like this is a new thing. These women have always been outraged, they've always been emotional, they've always done stuff like this. But now they're going as far as to defend a woman who literally fucking strangled all her kids to death. But I'm gonna look at a couple of the things related to it, but damn, this shit was fucked up.
Check this out. It's really crazy. Lindsay Clancy's birth chart.
Gemini. And oh yeah, this is a TikTok scientist. Oh wait, no. Gemini is her husband, I think. But basically, Leos don't kill, Geminis do. And basically, predominantly, like, retarded white women are using space racism as a justification for why she didn't kill her children, and why her basically husband did. So that's what they are attempting to do, basically. Space racism is what's going to help and save Lindsay Clancy and prove that she obviously didn't brutally fucking kill all of her kids, even though everyone is on the same page in that courtroom about her killing her kids. But yeah.
It's so crazy. Now, I don't have the time of birth, so really, you can disregard the ascendant, descendant, IC, MC, vertex, and all the houses. I need the birth time. So, like, not all of these aspects are necessarily true, because all those points, we don't really know. I just put it at noon. But, first of all, let me just show. Okay, so, notice anything here? She's got her North Node Aquarius, South Node Leo. She's in her Nodal return right now.
It's been a while, but I have to pop on here just to say that I've been following this Lindsay Clancy trial, especially as a mother of two who dealt with a lot of postpartum.
Oh yeah, that's right. Anyone hoping like there's a couple rational women in this, do not have much faith, because there's far less of them than there are like crazy batshit insane women in this.
Mental illness, and
Yep.
just following all their birth charts and birthdays and zodiac signs. He did it.
You see? Space racism. He did it because space racism told me. You see, I lined up the dots, and racism, all right? It channeled in me. It told me. It spoke to me that she didn't kill her kids, but he did. How? I don't know. I don't know. These zodiac signs and shit. You look at the moon, and you obviously see that the moon is telling you Lindsay Clancy didn't kill her kids.
He did it. He's a Gemini man. His birthday is June 15th. I'm a Gemini woman. My birthday is June 14th. Let me give you another example of who a Gemini man is. Also birthday June 14th. Men and women are different. Keep that in mind. Please don't judge me. Donald Trump.
Oh, God.
Patrick did it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
So if you're watching the Lindsay Clancy case, I've already gone over the forensic astrology charts that show that the perpetrator is a male, the perpetrator is having an affair, and that the victims, specifically Lindsay, was drugged during this. And I've also gone over with the theory and the lie detection.
I'm telling you all right now, when the South Node goes into Cancer in March of 2028, the South Node is going to transit over Patrick Clancy's moon in Cancer. He's going to be having eclipses over his natal moon, which is home, family, emotions, his emotional life. And then it gets better. 2029, all the way into 2030, he is going to have eclipses over his Gemini placements. The South Node is going to move over his Sun, his Mercury retrograde, his Venus retrograde. It's about to get real interesting in the next, 3 to 4 years for him. I'm grabbing my popcorn. I can't wait for this man to be humbled and for karma to do its thing.
But yeah, as a couple of the women, and don't get your hopes up. They don't get much smarter from here. But yeah, this is the TikTok scientists. They sent in their best. The problem is their best are actually just mentally retarded and should also be put in mental institutions with her. But yeah, we're gonna look at a couple things.
She was begging for help, but no one was there.
Here it is.
Like the system failed her.
And you see, the system failed her. And here's the thing. She got a bunch of medicines, right? Her husband took off work for her. A lot of cases were done to help her. and then this is like the system failed her. Like, I'm tired of, like, I really hate when people try to blame too many outside occurrences, because yes, there are obviously things that are out of our control, and obviously not everything's perfect, but we see it every single time. Every time someone commits a crime, these people always try to, like, remove the accountability of the person for reacting, like, in a harsh negative way, such as she did, which is suffocating her 3 goddamn children. So she's trying to remove that and apply it to everyone else around her failed her, and that's the reason this happened. It's not because of any of her actions nor any of her decision making that led her here. It's because she was actually failed. It allows her to remove all accountability from this woman and basically say that. And you're going to see, like, there's a bunch of women in pink. There's probably a few, like, pathetic loser simp men here as well. Like, a handful.
Big
Yeah.
and veiled, but no one was there. I don't know if us being here will make her feel any better, but I mean, she's living in hell right now.
Just wanted to support Lindsay and just say it could be, one of my sister-in-laws, it could be one of my best friends, and it could be me. So just here to support.
Here's my thing. If I had any family member or best friends that strangled all 3 of their children, they're not gonna be any of that anymore. They're a fucking monster. But yeah, this is it.
We are hearing her. We see that she tried everything. And I really do believe that she went into a state of psychosis.
Clancy's supporters call her attorney Kevin Reddington a champion of women's rights.
Oh, just so you know, like, I'm gonna say this, which is the attorneys. It's his job to do it, whether he likes it or not. Because there's always that. So I don't put too much fault on him. He is just the defense attorney. This is his fucking job. But he is not a champion of women's rights. He's just the guy that's supposed to defend her in this case. That's his entire job. Any woman thinking like anything outside of that is just stupid, because it's basically the equivalent of thinking a stripper loves you. It's like, not really. He's doing his job. That's it.
Is she aware of this support, and what does she think of this support?
I'm going to go in and see her right now. I'm sure that she is, and if she isn't, she will be.
What do you think about?
She's so beat up and just so sad. This will really help her out, I think.
Tell her we love her.
The crowd of about 200 to 300 people lined the road as Lindsay Clancy was brought into the courthouse.
I hope when this is all over that
And you see this too, the most destructive force in America. Old fucking hags. They will happily vote for terrorists. They will happily vote for the destruction of your country. They will happily advocate for everything that destroys general society and makes everybody's lives worse. As long as it makes them feel like they are emotionally, emotionally the good people. That's basically it. Your suffering is their virtue. Their virtue is entirely based on you suffering, as long as they get to feel like they are the arbiters of, what being good is.
medical field
Hate
gets,
these people.
held responsible for some of this, because she tried. She tried desperately to get help, and it wasn't there. Whether she's guilty, innocent, it doesn't really matter. 3 lives are gone. And so just get to the truth. That's all.
Yeah, and those 3 lives she took. But yeah, here's a Candace Owens clip.
Clancy case.
Okay, here we are. I fixed it. But anyways, and now for Candace. And here's the thing about Candace, which is, I've noticed a lot of people who generally support her got mad at her for this. But I was thinking that, why are these people surprised? Because I looked at the Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson thing in my other video, and I looked at it as various things, which is, he admitted in a text message that he did it, and Candace Owens didn't believe it. Then the defense admitted he did it. Candace Owens doesn't believe it. The prosecutor says he did it. Candace Owens doesn't believe it. His dad said he did it. Candace Owens doesn't believe it. The cop said he did it. Candace Owens doesn't believe it. And so any of her previous supporters or people who were on her side, who thought she was, who somehow didn't think this exact way of thinking would track onto this, I think they're stupid. But basically, it's the same thing. Lindsay Clancy said directly that she killed her children. And then the defense and prosecutor also said she killed her children. She is not fighting whether she or not she killed her children. She's fighting whether she's like mentally insane, and that reason alone gets her to be put in a psychedelic place basically for the rest of her life. That's what she's fighting for. So, if you apply that same standard to Candace's thinking, she has been extremely consistent, which is no amount of people saying, oh, I did this crime or I didn't do this crime, would make her change her stance on, oh, obviously that person never did it. The train of thought is exactly 100% correlated, exactly 100% the same. The only reason that a lot of her supporters got mad at her generally was because the other one is obviously a proxy to attack or attempt to blame Israel in some way or the other, versus this one because Israel is not a topic that is pretty much brought into this. The collective IQ of her retarded fan base grew because the moment Israel is talked about or involved, a lot of people just forget how to critically think or even see if the person is trying to tell them the truth. That's literally what's happened. So we're going to look at Candace and her statement, but as I said, it's incredibly consistent. And I saw a couple people that like I kind of watch from time to time, and I was just thinking most of these people are literal just goyim. They are the goyim they accuse everyone else of being, basically. But yeah, let's get Candace. I still have a headache from watching like her versus Andrew. That she was insufferable.
Was arrested the moment that it made the news. Lindsay Clancy is obviously not guilty. There are a fleet of doctors who should be imprisoned for what they put her on. I regularly speak out against Big Pharma. They get away with murder all the time. And in this case, they are getting away with the murder of really her.
And you see, I'm going to tell you this. If she changed Big Pharma with Israel, half the people that turned on her would be supporting her. But anyways, this is the same thing, which is she's going to try to milk this out and turn this into another year-long investigation as to why Lindsay Clancy is not guilty. And primarily, like, as I said, 40-year-old, annoying, bitter, stupid women are going to follow her and basically see her case through and through all the way into the end. They don't care about the evidence. They don't care about the facts. They only care about that their feelings are being, like, basically, what do you call it? They're being I forgot the exact term, but, it's basically their feelings about what they think happened are being told by another person. But, yeah, that's what's going to happen with this. She's going to turn this into another one of those, and, yeah.
3 children, but also completely destroyed her life. Lindsay Clancy, in my opinion, is not guilty. She was put into an intentional psychosis when she probably just needed to give her kids away for a weekend to get better, but they constantly give you these drugs that do not make things better. And the cocktail of 10 pharmaceuticals that she was on is absolute madness. Absolute madness. Corinne writes, I know you're busy, but I'd love to know your thoughts on the Lindsay Clancy case.
And this is the thing too, which is I can say there are problems with what happened, but she ultimately decided to take her children's life. Here's the thing. If any amount of drugs make you take your children's life, you are a worthless piece of shit. People get pulled over and arrested for drinking and driving, and everyone knows that negatively affects their rationale, their thinking, and all of that. Lindsay Clancy should have the exact same standards put on her, and she should be hung and put in jail because of what she did to her kids. And now we're gonna watch a couple women break down because of the Clancy case and do some stupid stuff. And here it is. Look at that, she got the ice thing. Yep. Yeah. Not done yet. Bra specialized. I'm gonna skip it too much. So satisfying, the aftermath. Safely expressing
and manipulating me? Like to rage. I'm so effing sick of people taking advantage of me. and manipulating me and making me feel not seen when I am very freaking loud. I deserve to be freaking heard. So fucking tired of stupid ass people. People who don't deserve me. People who don't fucking see me for everything I am. So tired. Fucking
Oh yeah. Wow, this is what women have started doing to make their obviously irrational, terrible emotional spikes, heard. And this is another one recently, which is this lady was found killing her children too. This was also pretty recent. Yeah.
And my baby came unexpectedly. And instead of helping him, I ended his life. And afterwards, I cleaned up and didn't tell him.
Okay. So tell me, when you say instead of helping him, you did what?
I ended his life.
How did you end his life, ma'am?
I deprived him of oxygen.
Okay. All right. And did you tell me?
Well, yeah, she basically aborted her child. This was another case of a woman who did a very similar thing to it, and there's obviously like retards on TikTok defending her too. But Lindsay Clancy is the main one. And then this is her GoFundMe, and then this is an AI generated image. But look at that. You see women all across the world basically like shielding Lindsay Clancy while she looks like she's having a mental breakdown on a wheelchair. Oh yes, the sisterhood for her, but not the sisterhood for her 3 dead fucking children who are now gonna be buried 6 feet under because their mom was a psychopath. But yeah, here's another one. Yeah, this is her. But yeah. And it was that like 5,000, 2,000, all that shit. Man, here's here's another picture of the thing. Well, they passed her, the cops, woman cheered. And we're gonna look into Nick Fuentes. He's talking about Candace. I'm not gonna show the whole thing. But he basically has the same opinion I do about this.
Obviously, she's not guilty. It's big pharma. It's big pharma. Have you lost your fucking mind?
Yep.
I literally cannot even imagine. There are stories of mothers who will lift up a wreckage of a car to save their children trapped underneath. Women will die. Mothers will die for their children. They'll kill to avenge their murdered children. And this psycho holds down her 3 babies, strangles them to death. You're a mother yourself, you sick bitch.
Yep.
You're a mother yourself. What is wrong with you? And she says, obviously she's not guilty. It was big pharma. Candace, come back to reality. Come back to God. Come back to earth. What is the matter with you? Could you imagine, and I'm sure for some people, sadly, it doesn't even require any imagination. Imagine if you're a guy and your wife is on TikTok sympathizing with this sicko.
Yeah, that's the worst part too. Because if your wife shows any amount of sympathy, respect, or pain for her, I'm just gonna say it. Your kids are in fucking danger. She needs to be put in a hospital, reevaluated. CPS needs to be called on her. Basically, the children are never going to be safe under her care because she's already willing to rationalize and justify why those 3 kids deserve to die and like feel bad for the mother instead of them. So what's going to stop her from like trying to rationalize and do the same for her kids? One day she decides, "Oh, I don't want to be a mother anymore." And now guess what? Your 3 children are strangled and fucking dead, exactly like her.
And I've seen it. I've seen TikToks of women holding their own children in their arms and saying, we need justice for Lindsay Clancy. Imagine that's your wife. Imagine that's the mother of your children. If I had a family,
it's basically the equivalent too of like, imagine EDP holding a 5-year-old girl and saying, we need justice for Epstein. That's the actual fucking equivalent. That's the 1-to-1 equivalent of this bullshit.
If that was my wife, I would have her 5150 immediately. I would take the children and I'd bring them to my parents' house. And I'd say, you stay the fuck away from me and my kids and my family. Imagine your wife, the mother of your children, is on TikTok posting. And listen, I know on some level, maybe that's harmless. Women will do and say anything for attention, no matter how disgusting and vile it is. They'll post that to signal something socially, solidarity, empathy with women, you know.
All that.
But it's like, could you imagine? Your children are being held in the arms of their mother while she's filming herself on TikTok saying, I stand in solidarity with this other mother that murdered her 3 kids. How could there be any tolerance for something like this? And this is a moment when people of conscience, this is a moment when anybody that has any semblance of integrity and of a conscience has to stand up and call it out and say, this is wrong. This is evil. Sometimes there are gray areas. Sometimes it's a tough call. This is not one of those times. This is as black and white as it gets.
Which is, I'm going to say, anyone that's like, there could be people that say, oh, she was on a bunch of drugs. I can get that. But if they say she was on a bunch of drugs, but she's ultimately responsible for what she did, I would be fine with that. But anyone saying, oh, well, actually, everyone else in the world is responsible for this, and she has no agency over herself, and she should be infantilized to the point where none of her rational decision-making about strangling her 3 kids should affect her, then I think those people are, like, giant pieces of shit. It's pretty much, like, basically three variations of this acceptable, which is she killed her kids, and she's a piece of shit. She got over-medicated, but she's responsible for her actions. And the last one is, which is that maybe people should have done more to get her away from her kids, but ultimately, she's still at major fault for what she did. That's pretty much it.
Mother holds down her 3 babies and strangles them to death, jumps out of a window, and you say, give this woman $1 million? She's the victim of the system? You're going to show up in solidarity with this person? You may believe clearly she's psychotic. That doesn't mean you sympathize with her. Or God forbid, rationalize her actions. Go out there wearing a t-shirt in support of her? Seriously? This is one of those times where you got to say, there's a line in the sand. You're on that other side. I want nothing to do with you. God have mercy on your soul, honestly. And you see that and you realize they've totally gone insane. Seriously.
The Goyim are insane.
I saw that from Candace today. I said, how low can you go? I mean, seriously, how low can you stoop? I know a lot of people.
I mean, she already went low enough to stomp on her supposed best friend's grave for the past year, ensure his widow has death threats and is harassed constantly, her children are being put at risk and annoyed, and also that, like, people attempt to hold her responsible for her husband dying. Like, she's already like pretty much in the deepest gates of hell. This is not even comparatively as bad as what she did to, like, Erica, basically. She's already in the gates of hell. She's more than happy to justify it. She's a worthless, narcissistic piece of shit. She always has been that way. She always will be that way. And that's it. Candace is pure fucking evil. Tim Pool was right about her. Ben Shapiro was right about her. And Nick Fuentes is right about her. Every single person related to Nick Fuentes, every single person's opinion on Candace Owens, similar to them, is correct about what a piece of shit she is. Because I saw even Hassan Piker was dick riding her. And he's another example of, like, worthless human
scum. I think it's a big game. Unfortunately, though, some people can't tell the difference. You see someone like Candace, and it's written all over her face. Glee, giddiness. You could see that the narcissistic supply of her show and the money and being the center of it She feeds on it. It's written all over her face.
Yep.
She has no poker face. The self-satisfaction, the smugness. She's delighted with herself. The overflowing, how pleased she is with herself and what she's done.
Yep.
And for her, this is just a game.
Yep.
For her, she goes on the show and it's a performance. It's like Oprah. It's dramatic. Today, we're going to break the internet again. Oh, everyone's talking about me again. Oh, they made memes about my enemies again. Oh, it's so wonderful. But the people that watch can't tell the difference. These people in the comments, these are like psychic victims.
Yep.
And they're not blameless, but these people in the comments, they really believe in this shit.
Yep.
They really believe it's a multi-dimensional time-traveling conspiracy. They believe this woman is the victim of big pharma. It's the pharmaceutical companies made her do it. The conspiracy made her do it. The profiteering French Israeli Illuminists made her do it. And at the bottom of it is fundamentally a total lack of responsibility. Look, as an influencer, as someone that has influence, as a broadcaster, you really have one responsibility. That is to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That is to tell the truth as best as you can about the issues. It is to speak with clarity, with conscience. We're supposed to be shepherding the people as best as we can. We're flawed people too. We're not over and above them.
Mm-hmm.
But for people that have the privilege of having a platform, people that are elected by God to have this, have a responsibility then
Fully
to use
agree.
the platform or use the gifts to try to steer people in the right direction. And at the bottom of it is a complete lack of any kind of responsibility or recognition that we have this responsibility.
Yep.
And the damage that...
And this is why. It's because back then, you know, people would be known for a small amount of things. Like, people, like, you know, there would be like Omega level celebrities. Like, there would be Arnold, there would be Hercules, there would be George Washington. But there would be these people that pretty much changed the world. But now what happened is, like, a lot of smaller people became celebrities. So then the space became bigger. But now it's like, there's so many big celebrities, but there's also so many small celebrities that you know, some people may know or not know. And now there's like millions upon millions of people pretty much sharing the same space, the same attention, and all that stuff. And they're being watched regularly or semi-regularly by a multitude of people across the entire world. And it's become a point where, like, obviously there are going to be liars, there's going to be people who are paid, there's going to be people who are wrong, there's going to be people who don't know what they're saying but think they know what they're saying. There's going to be all those things. And it's because it's advantageous. There is no such thing as accountability because everyone can just say whatever they want and pretty much get away with it. So pretty much, what's the point of being truthful if you can instead lie and then use it to get more and more money, recognition, and, you know, take things away from other people like that? But
is being done is incalculable. The damage that is being done psychically to the people of the country, psychologically, if you prefer that, it's just incalculable, the ways that we're wrecking society by promoting this kind of mindset. No, this is wrong. A woman goes out and murders her kids. Like, this should not be a layup. A lot of people quote tweeted my rant about Candace a few days ago about Charlie Kirk, and they said, I can't believe Nick Fuentes is the one that's saying this. I hate him, and I disagree with everything.
Yep, and that's the thing, which is, like, I think he said it before, but low IQ anti-Semitism, which is, like, for me, for example, I've always been mostly neutral towards Israel and, like, what I've said, but there are people that basically want everything to always steer in, oh, Israel did it, it's negative about Israel, and whatever. And they're basically willing to use mass psychosis, lying, and any means necessary to make it about that topic. So whenever someone like Nick goes like, wait a minute, no, actually Israel wasn't involved here. It was like, this is the most obvious thing that happened. This retard did it, and there's nothing that proves Israel did it. They see it as a form of defense for Israel, Whereas Nick Fuentes, what he sees it as is that he is using basically rationale, logic, and reasoning to point out when he believes Israel is doing wrong. Other people, they just hate Israel for the sake of hating Israel. And anything that steers that same exact opinion as a proxy, no matter what it is, no matter how illogical it is, they will happily go along with it because their primary ideology is me no like Israel, therefore that. And when they see Nick do not what they want, they'll call him a fed, they'll say he's paid, they'll say all these things because that's exactly what they believe, which is that anything that's not 100% negative about Israel basically means you're getting paid. And it's gotten to the point where everyone's pretty much being paid by Israel if you like have one thing that you disagree with in this like giant retarded conspiracy that's pretty much webbed up everything involved in it.
Everything he says, it's like this is a layup because this is just like obvious. Yeah, we're going to disagree about race. We're going to disagree about Israel. We're going to disagree about history. We're going to disagree about some big things. The things we're not going to disagree about is whether it's wrong to kill your own children.
Yep, I fully agree with that. And here's another one. This is a woman from Miami, and she apparently killed her fucking kids. Yeah, but here it is. This is a woman who did like a bunch of weird spiritual stuff. And right, she's basically dressed like a stripper. Let's be honest. But she's doing weird rituals and stuff. I'm pretty sure this was Miami, but I heard she was arrested, something like that. But yeah.
Hundreds of Lindsay Clancy.
But yeah, there it is. Wow, there it is. And then look at that. She's purposefully hurting and attacking and rationalizing why her kids should be hurt because of Lindsay Clancy. So this woman is now a danger to her children, and CPS was rightfully called on her. And yeah, there's that. I'm not going to watch the full thing.
Because Laura Steinheimer stood up to me. Dad. So let's play this clip about what happened on the jury yesterday. It's clip 5.
Yeah.
And all the insanity there. It turns out there's people on the jury who aren't.
I want people to know. When Alex Jones is one of the most sane people on this topic, you've gone wrong. And that's the thing. I like Alex Jones too. I don't like what he did, to Tim, but I still relatively like him for the most part.
Too well in the head either. So let's go to that clip. Here it is.
News in the trial of Lindsay Clancy. We just got word the jury is done for the day. Back to Brian Yennis live in Plymouth. What can you tell us about this move, Brian?
Bill, good morning. Well, in about 2 hours, the day is done. Surprising. We thought that it would begin with testimony. It did not. Each juror was questioned by the judge about what we simply don't know, actually. We don't know why the jurors were questioned, but all of a sudden they were. And then there was the witness that went up, the last defense witness. Her name was Shayla Kavanaugh. She did testify today. She was a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital who visited with Lindsay Clancy multiple times while she received treatment after the killings. She said that Lindsay alluded to having hearing a voice, and that the voice, according to Lindsay, told her that if she did not follow the command, neither she or her children would be safe.
Oh my God. Okay, got it. She heard a voice. Okay, God told me if I didn't do this, me and my kids wouldn't be safe. And then it ends up with her kids dying and her being the only one that lives. Great. Nice. Totally.
This is important because the defense is arguing that Lindsay Clancy was hearing voices that told her to kill herself and her children, and therefore she was going through a postpartum psychosis temporary that caused her to kill her children.
Says
she did not know what she was doing was wrong.
Bill
that
Gates
testimony
says kill your
ended
baby.
after the prosecution challenged her.
This is a culture of death from the top down. Bill Gates' daughter just got caught in these big secret university corporate meetings.
Oh yeah, that was a little bit of Alex Jones. But yeah, oh my God, there's a few more. But here's an Asmongold one. which is the solution. Yeah, here's all the women. But the solution is really simple. You mobilize CPS to take the kids away from the mothers who support Lindsay Clancy. Then you institutionalize the mother. This gives you the cause to declare them mentally unfit in order to take away their voting rights. Fully fucking agree. They should not be anywhere near a voting booth, nor their children. They should not even be capable of deciding whether or not they like the color blue or red more. They shouldn't even have the bare minimum right for that. They should have everything taken away from them. Wow, that's Candace. Obviously not guilty. Oh, that's Nick again. Here's another one. But you see, look, she's throwing shit on her baby. Crying over motherhood to show solidarity. Well, look, this is not exactly waterboarding, but it kind of is in a way where like she's basically like the baby's basically confused and doesn't know what's going on, and you see that psychotic smile in her face. Look at that. She loves that her baby is suffering. And there's that, the bathtub shit. But yeah, here's another one. Lindsay Clancy explained.
Buckle up. In January of 2023, Lindsay Clancy, a Massachusetts mother of 3, strangled her 3 kids to death in her basement with exercise bands. They were 5, 3, and 8 months old. Her trial is this week. She's being charged with first-degree murder, and the question is whether or not she was undergoing a psychotic episode and didn't mean it, or if she carried out premeditated murder. So either she's committed for life or imprisoned for life. Now, how did we get here? So after her 3rd kid was born, she started losing her mind. Postpartum anxiety, depression, paranoia, insomnia, and evolving psychosis. And in 2022, she started telling mom and husband that she was having thoughts of killing her kids and started seeking big-time medical help. Now, at this point, she's on at least 12 different medications, including the antipsychotic Seroquel, which includes hallucinations as a symptom. New Year's Eve 2022, she finally checks into a mental hospital. 5 days later, she checks out, saying she wants to be home for her 5-year-old's birthday. Then a couple weeks later, in January of 2023, she's apparently having a really good day. Like she's not being crazy. She texts her hubby saying, "I didn't cook dinner, let's do takeout." He leaves the house for 25 minutes to pick up said takeout and grab Miralax from CVS for his 5-year-old daughter. Security footage confirms this alibi, by the way. And while he's gone, she lures them to the basement and spends about 4 minutes per kid them. Then her arms and neck, and then jumps from a 2nd-story window, permanently paralyzing herself from the waist down. She's on 6 medications at the time. Husband returns home, sees all the bodies, calls the police. And that audio recording has not been released to the public, but reporters in the room said they heard it, and it was just sickening. This story is tragic and vile, and somehow online weirdos have managed to make it worse. Some quick facts before I explain. People are conflating postpartum depression with postpartum psychosis. 13% of American women get postpartum depression. 1 in 1,000 get the psychosis. It's very rare, it's symptoms-based, so you can't find it on an MRI, but it typically presents very suddenly in the first 2 weeks after childbirth. Symptoms include hallucinations, delusions, severe insomnia, and yesterday her mom testified that Lindsay texted her in October of 2022 saying, "Will you stay with me? Something is wrong. Horrible insomnia, anxiety meds making it worse, really, really scary. I don't want to be alone." Patrick testified that Lindsay called him and said she did it because a man's voice told her if she didn't do it now, she'd lose her chance. It's looking like she went crazy. The prosecution, the people prosecuting her for murder, they have a very, very difficult job. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she was not crazy, just cold-blooded. But either way, she's still going away for life because her children are forever gone. That's the tragedy. But instead of focusing on that, online weirdos are blaming the man. Here's what I mean. Blue-haired people, for instance, are throwing themselves out of windows to prove that she fell out of the window weird. She must have been shoved. It was the husband. Yeah, Patrick, he was not at CVS, according to these ladies. He hired a body double, drugged her, the children, shoved her body out the house, and then staged the rest of it. And the evidence of all this, it doesn't exist, but he did remarry another brunette after his former wife unalived all of their children. So, guilty. There's also women saying this.
Many of us see ourselves in Lindsay.
Yeah, and that many of us, like, what the fuck you mean us? The fuck you mean us? But anyways, yeah, she gotta be taken to a mental institution. She gotta be removed from the rest of society. Fuck this piece of shit.
Many of us know that we could have been only one step away from doing some of those horrific things.
What? Like, get help. She had a psychotic break and committed multiple mortal sins. That's not the same as you feeling down after having a kid. And then there's women out there saying that if men aren't talking about this case, it's because they're abusive.
If you're a man saying, like, she should just go to prison, she did it, Patrick's innocent, leave him alone, he was a great dad, I'm just going to assume that you are abusive.
Yep. There is not a single piece of evidence that he was abusive. Women, you're making us all look bad. The reality is she was on an insane...
Yep, I'm gonna say I've never seen such a absolutely high amount of people advocating for the entire removal of the 19th Amendment entirely because of this. And I'm just gonna say it like I was gonna say, like, if the Bible, the Quran, Judaism, like, as well as pretty much every country for the better part of the total amount of human history have made y'all second-class citizens, and now that y'all had like the voting rights for like pretty much the last like 100 or so years, and this is how you guys are acting, like you're making everybody who attempted to implement that look like a bunch of retarded, like, literally look retarded fools. I'm gonna be honest. I have never seen the extreme amount of remove the 19th Amendment related comments as I have today. But damn.
Cocktail of psychotropic drugs at the time of the murders. It's really sad. It's terrible to see that she was severely struggling with mental illness. Mental illness is real, and it is very, very scary. But also, girls, stop being weird and totally sympathizing with the child killer and blaming the husband. Lindsay confessed, the defense agrees, and she'll likely go to the ward for the rest of her life. I swear, these people do not care about the children at all. They just want to make the guy...
Yep, they don't care about the children. They want to justify the children dying so that it makes them feel good about that. And then, here's the thing. I think they want to normalize it in society, mothers killing their children when they regret it, because then it would allow them not only to get like abortion until birth pass, kind of like Massachusetts trying to do, but it'll also justify that, oh, you can just snap your fingers and if you regret motherhood, well, you could just strangle your 3 kids and society's perfectly fine with it. I think that's exactly what they want.
Look bad because they hate men. But hey, I mean, at least Candace Owens has a new thing to warp and make millions off of. Everybody needs to go touch grass.
If your children were downstairs in a 2-story house and you were upstairs on the 2nd story, and there was a fire in your home of which prevented you from being able to exit your bedroom door, go down the stairs and get the children, and you had no other choice and you were completely stuck on that 2nd floor in your bedroom, would you or would you not try to jump out the window to go save those kids? Because
here's what I'm gonna say. There's a bunch of, let's be honest, if this was a man, there's a bunch of people that if he jumped out and saved himself, they would be calling him a piece of shit, a failure, and whatever for not saving his kids. A lot of people would not hold this same exact opinion for women. So let's see, it's gonna be, oh, you have to jump out and save your kids? Like, I'm sorry, but like, your duty as a parent should be save your kids, even if it costs like hurting yourself. That's the ultimate sacrifice as a parent. Because I'm not saying that dying for your kids is the bravest thing, because obviously living for them is a very brave, noble act in itself. But if you have no other choice than living but risking your life to save them, it is the best possible next step to do.
that's the only way to get down there to them, right? Fight or flight kicks in, you're gonna get out that window, right? What if Mr. Pat decided to drug her earlier in the evening, we'll say 4:30. By 5 o'clock, she started getting drowsy. He tells her, go upstairs, go take a rest. When she gets upstairs, she finally passes out, lays in the bed. A few minutes later, he comes upstairs. She looks knocked out. At that point, he injures her on the wrists and on the neck. He thinks she's dead, probably because of all the blood loss. A person who's not a nurse sees that much blood, guess what? They are either getting faint, queasy. He thinks she's done for. So he leaves, barricades the door, goes and does what he does, kills those kids, goes on his little excursions to make it look like he did not do anything. When he comes back, wrench thrown in his whole scheme because she jumped out that window. It would explain the hands outside of the window, because when she woke up, whether or not she was drowsy, drugged,
bloody or whatever, she remembers in her head that he threatened that he was going to kill those kids in that basement. He told her the whole plan because that's what a narcissist does.
I want you to remember, this lady's making up this entire story because it makes her feel like it makes her feel this is exactly what happened. But yeah, insane fucking take from a insane retard.
He wants to see the pain in her eyes, the fear in her eyes, to initiate this response. So while he thought that she was dying upstairs, to his surprise, he comes home and she had actually made it out the window, ruining his whole entire plan. But I think it did start with some type of situation up there where she was blocked in that room and she had no other choice but to try to get out. He moves the bed when he gets back, moves all the things around, maybe even cleans up the sheets on the bed. Has his handprints all over it, literally.
Oh, by the way, just so you guys know, this is gonna sound crazy, but he was her husband and he lived in the same house, right? And there's gonna be some crazy thing called, oh, his handprints are all over the house, right? This is crazy fact. Maybe, just maybe, the guy lives with his wife and his children, and his handprints are everywhere because he lives with his wife and his children. And that's the reason why you can see his handprints as well as her handprints as well as their kids' handprints everywhere. Because maybe, just maybe, he sleeps next to his wife. Crazy, I know it's a crazy concept for a girl like her. But like maybe, just maybe, I'm right. But anyways, yeah, Metatron. Lindsay Clancy case is indeed a case of mass psychosis. If indeed proven that she did kill her children, she is a monster. That is that simple. She is not a victim. I do not care what the reasons are. A lot of women experience severe postpartum depression. How many strangle their kids? Only one who is a monster. The rest need our help and support, not a monster. If proven that the husband set her up, then she is innocent, then she is a victim with the kids. Otherwise, the victims are the kids and the husband. If she did it to do it, she is a monster, and I would push for the death penalty. Then we can also investigate these doctors who said she was fine. Fully agree with the take, too. And I'll do this last one. I'll do this last one before I stop the video, but like, yeah, this, I said, the Goyim have gone insane. The Goys have gone in fucking insane.
So I keep seeing people talk about the Lindsay Clancy case, and a bunch of conservatives are asking themselves, like, how did we get here as a society where a huge number of women are defending Lindsay Clancy, who murdered 3 of her children by strangling them to death? Like, what is wrong with the women right now? And I'll tell you how we got here. It's because over 25% of women in America today have done exactly what Lindsay has done.
Yep.
They did the exact same thing. They murdered their children, right? They murdered their helpless, innocent children, all because they didn't want them. They were in the way. And so they, of course, they empathize with her. Of course, they're trying to cover up their own guilt for what they did by justifying what another woman did when she snuffed out her own children. It's the natural way that you try to cope with sin, right? If you have a problem with drinking, you surround yourself with other people who drink a lot. If you have a problem with cursing, you surround yourself with people who curse a lot. If you have a problem with murder, if you murdered your child and haven't repented for it, then you justify other people who murdered their children. And you all can sit around and ignore the feeling of being a monster because, well, we all did it, right? So it's not that bad. That's what's at play right now. That is what's happening, is we have a bunch of women who actually have murdered their own children. And so when they see another woman who murdered their own children, they empathize with her, they sympathize with her, and they justify it because, well, she had a reason, right? That's what's happening right now. And our nation desperately needs to repent of our child sacrifice, whether it's children in the womb.
I fully agree too. I fully agree. I said it before in another video, but like 97% of abortions are elective because the woman wants, and then like I think like pretty much like 2% of it was pretty much complications with the birth for the mother, complications with the baby, incest, and rape. I think rape was like 0.4, right? But if you put all those things combined, you still have the other 97% of like abortions, which are basically just oh, well, I don't feel like being a mom. So yeah, the baby obviously has to fucking be cut apart, brutally murdered, and then thrown into the trash can, and then the woman just pretends she has no agency over like the consequences of having sex. Yeah, there's obviously that.
For children outside of the womb, it's a problem, and it is definitely impacting society in serious ways that we've been ignoring for a long time, and now it's just become like so in our face that we can't ignore it anymore, and people are asking how we got here. Child sacrifice, that's how we got here. We need to abolish it.
Yep, I agree. But anyways, so that's it for this video. Yeah, it was dark as fuck. It was dark as fuck, to be honest. I never expected like this just to randomly be the next one. I was gonna do another watching a debate, but here I am covering like thousands. Oh yeah, that's right. She got like $1 million for it. But anyways, here I am covering tens of thousands of women's mothers, all that justifying this psychopath brutally fucking murdering her kid in a way that, oh, she looks at them and right, it was 4 minutes. So 4 minutes, she did this, and she saw a baby go wah, 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 cry, say mommy, help, stop, you're hurting me, and then fucking dies. She did that for 4 minutes each. As I said, that's a very intimate and psychotic way of killing someone, because at least with a gun, usually the person with a gun is just boom and then that's it. You know, boom and then they're dead. But this, it's like she watched her children suffer, suffocate, cry, and all that, and I think that's even like worse in a way, because that means she went through it the whole 4 minutes, knowing exactly what she wanted to do. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this. I don't even know how to end this, but like, yeah, it's just don't support psychopaths who justify kids should die because yeah, because she feels like it, and yeah, that's it.